This is one of the locations here in Fulton County where voters can drop off their ballots. And people in Fairfax County are excited to be voting. You can see the line behind me. I'm told they waited for more than 2 hours to cast their vote. This is just one of the locations that Senator Tim Kaine has been visiting as part of the Get Out the Vote campaign here in Virginia. Now, he has a unique perspective on the election, and that's because last time it was his name on the ballot. That gets to be even more complicated here in Washington, D.C., because if you walk out here onto 12th Street, masks are required. But take one step up onto the National Mall and they aren't required. Weekday mornings on K Street are usually nonstop hustle and bustle. You can see there's nobody around me right now. Lafayette Park is federal land, but 16th Street is not. And this is where Mayor Muriel Bowser decided to create a mural saying Black Lives Matter on the road leading up to the White House. They say their coronavirus stimulus bill is exactly what the country needs, a compromise bill to make everybody happy. But mainstream Republicans and Democrats say it isn't making them happy. COVID vaccine trials are happening at sites all around the nation, including here at George Washington University in Washington, D.C.
Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. worked over the weekend to find a COVID stimulus bill both sides could accept.
More help is on the way.
Our purpose has always been to crush the virus, to put money in the pockets of the American people, which we do in this legislation.
Meanwhile, down in Georgia, campaigns staying in high gear. Early voting numbers topping 1.3 million in just the first week. Both Republicans and Democrats feeling positive.
I think with the numbers that we're seeing and with the results of this last election, I do feel very optimistic that both Ossoff and Warnock will be our next senators for the state of Georgia. The numbers don't lie.
I think Kelly and Purdue are going to win.
And while the phrase elections have consequences is nothing new, Democrats I spoke to say today that's more evident than ever.
That's why this election is so important, because if we want more, we need to send Ossoff and Warnock to the Senate so we can actually get to the business of helping everyday people.
The COVID stimulus bill doesn't have as much assistance as Democrats originally wanted, but Republicans gave as well, especially when it came to the sticking point of the lending power of the Federal Reserve. But it's the reduced relief for people that has some Democrats in Georgia saying it's not enough.
I would have voted for it, but $600 is a joke.
And at the same time, Peach State Republicans happy Democrats had to compromise on their demands.
It's a lot better than what Pelosi, was talking about 2.3 trillion, I think, several months ago. She's changed her mind. Now that Biden looks like he's going to be president, she's backtracked, and she'll try to make sure Biden gets credit for it. $900 billion sounds a lot better than $3 trillion.
This afternoon, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer tweeting lawmakers will work on this again under the Biden administration. In Gwinnett County, Annie Andersen for RNN. Northern Georgia Union members and supporters gathered in a parking lot in downtown Atlanta Friday morning to hear from candidates Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff, the two Democrats facing off in a runoff race against sitting senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue.
And the reason the whole country is watching Georgia right now is because these two Senate races will determine control of the United States Senate.
We've got to take the democracy back for the people. Have you noticed of late that apparently there's some folk who think they own your democracy?
It's a moment flight attendant Candace Goldberg didn't think she'd ever see.
I've lived here for 15 years and I never dreamed that we would get to this, that we would vote for the Democratic nominee for president. Is crazy.
And she says helping Georgia flip during the presidential election has her emotional.
When I cast my vote for Hillary Clinton in the primary, I cried. When I cast my vote for her in the presidential election in 2016, I cried. And then even just last time, when I cast my vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I cried.
Her colleague Christine Simonin with a similar thought.
I'm pretty excited, actually. It feels really good to know that your vote really counts right now.
In his remarks, Ossoff told the crowd of supporters what he thinks of the current senators.
And we're running against like the Bonnie and Clyde of corruption. in politics.
But he and Warnock also spoke on the issues.
It's wrong to call people essential workers and not pay them an essential wage and not provide for them essential benefits.
We're building a movement for health, jobs, and justice for the people so that we can get things done, so that we can pass a $15 minimum wage in the United States of America, so we can ensure every single family has great health care.
Like much of the country, Georgia has been hard hit by the pandemic, and many people say they're eagerly awaiting another COVID stimulus package. But here in Atlanta, home to the largest airport in the country, people I talk to say there's something specific they want to make sure is included in that package.
We really need to pass a COVID stimulus package that includes a payroll support program.
A payroll support program, which is a workers first program. Right now, we have like tens of thousands of flight attendants who are out on furlough that have no income, that are out on unemployment because this program hasn't been extended. So we need relief from Congress in order to get the PSP.
Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle proposed a bill that would extend that program through the end of March. But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Republicans would not support that bill. And that has Simonin even more excited that Democrats might flip the Senate.
This is the first time that I've been really excited about voting.
Democratic candidate for Senate Jon Ossoff has made health, jobs, and justice major parts of his campaign platform.
Marietta, are you with me when I say that health care is a human right?
Adolfo Diniz says those issues are important to him, but he had a more pressing question for Ossoff.
My name is Adolfo. I'm another dreamer from Mexico. And I love this country as much as my motherland, like Mexico. What do you think about immigration law for Latinos?
Ossoff responded saying he supports dreamers.
And I will work to pass comprehensive immigration reform that establishes a path to legal status.
Diniz was only able to ask one question, but there is another on his mind.
So what about our parents, parents who have been living here for 15 years, 20 years? I think they kind of forget about those immigrants who came here, and most of them are nice people, good people that pay taxes and they support the community and they impact the economy like any other American.
As a DACA recipient, Diniz isn't able to vote, but he says it's something he hopes to do soon.
For him talking about, making our voice, heard and everybody make it equal for everybody. So that's one of those things that frustrated for us, not able to vote.
Following the event, Ossoff also met with reporters, speaking on some of the news of the day, including a move to approve $2,000 COVID stimulus payments, something all 4 Senate candidates are now supporting.
The Senate should pass $2,000 checks right now. The Senate should have passed $2,000 checks immediately following House passage of that legislation. The Senate should have passed direct relief payments for the American people 8 months ago.
Ossoff also spoke on the president's tweet calling for Georgia Governor Brian Hemp to resign.
What we are seeing is a coordinated attack on voting rights in Georgia. The president's efforts to overturn the election result.
He continued, calling for Georgia's Republican senators to stand up to the president. In Cobb County, Georgia, Annie Andersen for RNN. Just 5 months ago, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell rebuffed rumors on upcoming cuts to social services.
Nobody should worry. There's no talk about doing anything to reduce the benefits of Medicare and Social Security.
Now, those concerns again, as President Trump's proposed budget calls for changes to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. A Kentucky Republican calling it a good move.
We're not going to solve our bubble problems if we don't fix it for people that are younger now.
And a Kentucky Democrat saying the opposite.
For Kentucky, it's particularly damaging because what it would do is reduce the absolute amount of funding for Medicaid and then eliminate the Affordable Care Act expansion program, which means that the reimbursement goes from 90% from the federal government to less than 70%. So it's a double whammy.
The president's proposed budget would spend $1.5 trillion less on Medicaid over the next 10 years. Of that, $1.2 trillion would go to states in a block grant program. His plan also reduces Medicare spending by almost $600 billion. Congressman Brett Guthrie calling this a simple leveling out.
Previous Congresses, and I was voted because we want to restrict the growth of government,
put caps on how much spending can be. It was signed by President Obama. In the last couple of sessions, we had to relieve that because as you go further down the road, the cuts do become more dramatic, and we have to fix that.
With Social Security expected to only be 79% funded by 2034, Guthrie says the changes are necessary, but says they're being pragmatic about them.
But if you're 55 or older, we're not going to change anything.
The president has to submit his budget to Congress for approval and never gets everything requested.
Actually, I don't think the president's going to get much of anything that he wants.
That will be for Congress to decide when it resumes.
From Governor Matt Bevin to conservative researchers, there's a common phrase on Kentucky's job market.
Right now we have 15,000 more open jobs than people searching for work.
The American Federation of Government Employees says that could be the case if the planned move for the USDA's Economic Research Service and National Institute of Food and Agriculture goes through. The union study found that of the 253 ERS employees picked to be relocated to Kansas City, 4 out of 5 will likely decline the relocation. These are two agencies the University of Kentucky's College of Agriculture works with closely.
We have probably on the order of $15 million in competitive grants from USDA. That's about 32 different proposals.
Robert Houts, the Associate Dean for Research at the University of Kentucky's College of Agriculture, says the work they do with the USDA is invaluable.
So the research end of things is mainly tailored to experimental research, which is meant to provide the answers to increase the profitability and production capabilities of agricultural people that are involved in the industry.
The impacted USDA employees will have until July 15th to decide if they will relocate or not.
We looked at all their qualifications from a quality of life perspective. We've been as gentle and as kind to any employee group that I know of.
A report from the Agricultural and Applied Economics Association says the expected mass attrition will leave lasting impacts on the NIFA and ERS. The group presented a report showing the two departments have current vacancy rates at about 20%, adding that because of the qualifications needed for the job, they expect USDA to take 4 years to get back to its current staffing levels, and say it will take the new employees 4 years to be as productive as the current employees. USDA Secretary Sonny Perdue says the move will be a good one for employees.
But I have no doubt that, frankly, the research is going to be done in the new location of NIFA, and ERS is going to be just as substantive. If I didn't think it'd be better, we wouldn't have started in the first place.
Perdue says the move will save the department $300 million over the next 15 years. The AAEA report argues those numbers were overinflated and say when calculating in lost research, the move could actually cost taxpayers up to $182 million. Last week, the House passed a resolution saying money designated for ERS in the coming budget can't be used for the move.
The House and their committee might pass that, but I'm depending on Leader McConnell to make sure those kind of prohibitions don't make it into the congressional budget.
When selecting the new location, Perdue said that Kansas City's Midwest location was a major factor. Houts wouldn't say if he thinks having NIFA and ERS closer to America's farmland is helpful.
In this day and age, I would say that there are more and more meetings that take place electronically.
Perdue says the move is scheduled to be done by September 30th. In Lexington, Annie Andersen, Spectrum News 1. Smiles and cheers as Gencana, a hemp processor in Kentucky, celebrated its growth and sales.
We have now about 200 local jobs. Last but not least, about $300 million in local economic impact.
Senator Mitch McConnell echoed his excitement.
20 years ago, in 1997, there were 46,000 tobacco producers. In 2017, 20 years later, 2,600. So I hope that hemp will be, for us someday, what tobacco was at its peak.
While there was good news on the processing side of hemp, on the farming side, there's still work that needs to be done.
Patrick Kanye has been farming hemp for a year and says he's eagerly awaiting crop insurance for hemp.
Insurance is a huge deal for us. It helps us mitigate risks. It allows other farmers entry into this hemp market. Honestly, it's what's holding up some guys from getting into it. So once we get crop insurance, I feel like sky's the limit.
The 2018 Farm Bill legalized hemp, which means it now qualifies for crop insurance. But Kentucky's Agriculture Chair, Representative Richard Heath, says the federal government is still working out the details on that.
One of the holdups is we have to have some data. We have to have yield history. So from what I understand, the whole farm insurance is good to go. But as far as insurance just for hemp, we don't have the data yet to know where to set the limits. So it's going to take a little while to get there.
Another fix hemp farmers are waiting on: pesticides.
There's nothing on label for the crop, so we can't spray any fungicides, any insecticides, and that's a big deal for us.
He says the state is working with the federal government on those fixes.
We are working with the Department of Agriculture to try to get a 24C to allow some pesticides to be used on the 56,000 acres of hemp that are going to be grown in Kentucky this year. We need herbicides, we need insecticides, we need fungicides. That takes time to get that done, but the process has started.
But even without the fixes in place, Kanye says he's enjoying his new cash crop.
We've raised tobacco for a long time and for about 30 years, and it's our first year raising hemp, so we're excited about it.
In Winchester, Annie Andersen, Spectrum News 1.
At 1:30, the shutdown showdown unofficially ended.
I will sign a bill to open our government for 3 weeks until February 15th.
And Goodwood Brewing Company celebrated. The 35-day shutdown shut down their new beer launches.
We had 3 items that were in the queue, so we thought we might be impacted, but we only thought it'd be a matter of days.
The Alcohol, Tobacco, Tax and Trade Bureau, or TTB, has to approve all new beers before they can go across state lines. With the shutdown, Goodwood CEO Ted Mitzlaff had to wait on his new products.
We've got to plan our beer, typical beers, about 2 weeks in advance to ferment and package. One of these is a barrel-aged product, so we need to prepare that about 2 months in advance. We have a Goza that we're going to age in tequila barrels, so we have to plan that several months out.
With the shutdown over, the TTB can get back to work approving new beers. Mitzlaff says he's hoping for the best, but also has a backup plan.
We may have a fire sale on product in Kentucky if we need to, but hopefully that won't be the case.
Both chambers of Congress have indicated they'll quickly pass the continuing resolution to officially reopen the government. That has Goodwood raising a glass to celebrate, or in this case, a can. In Louisville, Annie Andersen, Spectrum News 1.
Representative Mary Lou Marzian filed a floor amendment to Representative Joe Fisher's abortion bill.
The amendment says all women of childbearing age must get a notarized statement from their doctor monthly stating if they're pregnant or not. Any woman who doesn't give the paper to Health and Family Services can be arrested. And if a pregnant woman doesn't turn in her monthly paper, she's to be fitted with an ankle monitor for the duration of her pregnancy. Obviously, this amendment was filed in jest, but the Democrat from Louisville says the thought behind it is real.
I filed an amendment, number one, because it's such hypocrisy, and number two, to demonstrate if they want government in your life, which a lot of these folks say we want less government, then we'll have it in your life. Oh, they get the point, and they just disagree. So they agree that they should be involved in personal, private medical decisions, and a lot of it's for their re-elections. They think, you know, they're so holy and sanctimonious, but then some are anti-choice.
Wine lovers, get excited. A bill that would let you direct ship wine passed the Senate.
It's Senate Bill 99, sponsored by Republican Max Wise from Campbellsville. Wise said he heard from a lot of constituents who said they wanted to be able to ship their favorite California wines right to the bluegrass state. The bill was amended to make sure people and vineyards wouldn't be able to bypass paying taxes by shipping wine. If passed, Kentucky becomes the 46th state to legalize direct wine shipments. The bill passed the Senate 29-5 with one senator not voting.